So don't get in the box, man. Don't get in the box. The solutions are so simple. It's I know a lot of older guys, and listen to this. I know Mike Birch, all right, brother Mike Birch, hardcore MF, genuine BMF his entire life, lifelong athlete. I'm talking about real athletics, all right, on the track, right, in the weight room, on the platform, playing football, playing baseball. He's all around athlete, does everything. Does everything. I don't know what in the hell he doesn't do. Rides the hell out of motorcycles still. He's 74. Is he 74 years old this year, I believe? 74 years old this year. Within the past couple of months, he's again broken his own world record, which he set earlier this year. He set near the end of 2023. I think around September or October, he set a world record. Now he's broken his own world record. Deadlifted on the platform, valid legal deadlifting competition, over 500 pounds at his age. And he's going for 600. He's been there before. He's pulled 700. There are videos of him pulling 700 pounds as a young 60-something-year-old. Yeah, or as a young 58-year-old or whatever the case might be. He's got several videos on his channel, and he hasn't put any new ones on his channel on YouTube in a long time, but he does post on Facebook. But point is, that man is getting up there in age. I would not dare refer to him as an old man. Only in a friendly way, you know what I mean? Only in a facetious way, only in a, just a brotherly way, the same as I would refer to myself as an old man. But when I see a man like Mike Birch doing what he does, I feel like I need to step up my game. Now, I'm not saying that you go and do something reckless because you see a guy like Mike Birch who's got years and years on you maybe. In my case, he's got, what's he got? About 10 years on me, 11 years, something like that. 12 years maybe. That doesn't mean that I go out tomorrow and I try to do what Mike Birch does. If you're not up to that level, that's not the way it's done. It's small steps to the moon. But the whole point is, if you see him, if this 73, 74-year-old man can pull over 500 pounds in competition on the platform, and he trains all the time. He posts his training, clips of his training all the time on Facebook. If you see that, why doesn't that inspire you? Why doesn't that inspire you? I know another friend of mine, a guy I work out with sometimes, occasionally. He's in his early 60s. I think he's got a year on me, so I'm guessing he's about 63 now, maybe 64. Looks like he wouldn't take much to step on a bodybuilder stage and be a big guy. He's a little shorter than me, but big, really good pecs, big arms, big back, good legs, right? And this guy has actually had a heart valve replaced. He had a pig's valve put in his heart, I don't know, several years back now. And he's come back from that. He's been a lifelong bodybuilder, and he's strong as shit. He's strong as shit. And there's all kind of older guys out there doing this kind of shit. I have brothers I've met through social media that are killing it, that are in their 60s and are still genuine bad motherfuckers. So when you see this kind of thing, right? And it doesn't have to be anything to do with weightlifting. You understand? To find motivation in it. It's just when you see an old guy and you see him out there running fucking circles around men that should be in their prime today, just blowing them clean out of the fucking water. When you see old guys doing that and you look at yourself, why doesn't this motivate you to get off of your ass and do something for yourself. Do it for yourself, do it for your family, do it for whoever loves you that wants to see you hang around a while, or just do it for fucking spite. Just do it for spite, if that's what you want to do. I'll tell you what, the best revenge is progress. The best revenge is progress. Used to be, the saying was the best revenge is living well, or living well is the best revenge. But what the hell is living well? Huh? Big screen TV, boat, nice car, big house, all shit that you don't really own. You don't own any of that fucking shit. You think I see any of this shit? You know, I have friends that have plenty of money and have all the shit money can buy. And I'm happy for them if that brings joy to their lives. And you're going to be here anyway, and if you're going to have to drive a car, if you got the money, why not get the car you want to drive? Look, I've got more motorcycles. I can't ride but one motorcycle at a time, but it doesn't stop me from having several. Same with guitars. Shit, I used to have a dozen guitars, all nice guitars. Can't only play but one at a time. I mean, yeah, sure, you could have an acoustic, you could have an electric. I had lots of both, and several different amps, big amps, and recording equipment, and all kinds of garbage. But none of this shit belongs to me. I understand that. I'm only borrowing it. There used to be a very wise man that I used to know, Mr. Powell. Mr. Powell's another gentleman that was an older gentleman. He was 71, 72 when I knew him, and I haven't seen Mr. Powell or spoken to Mr. Powell in probably 10 years, maybe. And he looked 50. If he looked a day over 50, I couldn't tell it. He looked 50. And again, another guy, bodybuilder, lifetime bodybuilder, in excellent condition, in excellent shape. And he liked Cadillacs, so he had two really nice Cadillacs. He had an old Cadillac that he had spared no expense on. Whatever it cost, whatever it took, he spent it. And that car was immaculate, and it ran immaculately and every other thing, right? And it was cool. It was badass. He looked like the Mac driving around in that motherfucker. Yeah. And he used to always say, I don't own any of this stuff. I'm just taking care of it. I'm just keeping it for now, but I don't really own it, borrowing it. Because all of that shit, when you fucking die, none of that will have been worth a fuck to you. It really wouldn't have, because that's not really happiness. Those are distractions and shit to fill your life up with, in my opinion, than to keep you thinking about real shit. It distracts you from that. Same thing with all the sports and everything else. Look, that's all great as a younger guy, but how many young guys, when I was a young guy, I didn't even have time to stand still long enough to worry about who's playing this weekend or whatever the fuck is going on, right? No. Now as an older guy, I certainly don't have fucking time. Time is something I'm running out of. Do you realize that? That time is limited for you. Time is limited for you. You can make all the arguments that you want. Time is a flat fucking circle, and it's this and it's that, and right? Everything occurs in a singularity. You know, there's no real forward or backwards, or, you know, everything happens now. Whatever, right? You can argue that all day long, but from your perspective and my perspective, we're here in this world, the people we care about, and whatever pleasure we get from life is here right now that we're enjoying. We're experiencing it right now from that perspective, and there's an end date. There is an end date, and you're not going to avoid it, but you don't have to rush headlong into it either. And if you're not doing for yourself, that's what you're doing. Like I said in another video, man, there are two different kinds of people. There are people that make things happen for them, and there are people that let things happen to them. When you let things happen to you, and I see it all the time, I see it in friends of mine. When you let things happen to you, you're always on the defense. You're always scrambling. You're always trying to get your feet back underneath of you on solid footing. You're always trying to react and respond, and you're always overwhelmed. But if you make things happen for you, now you're in the driver's seat. Now you're the director. You're directing your own life. You're the star in your own life. You're directing your own life. You get ahead of things that way. It's proactive. It's a lot less stressful. But the only thing that you can really own is your fucking health. Is your health. You know, and that's physical health, mental health, you know, spiritual health. Those are all worthwhile projects. Those are all worthwhile projects. Things to work on, things to aspire to. Directions to head in. Lighthouses to mark your way and guide your path. Those are credible goals. Those are things that you can really own. You own this body, your body. You own your health. Your health, if you don't have your health, I don't care what kind of car you got, what kind of boat you got, what kind of house you got. I don't give a fuck about it. It doesn't even matter that you got a lot of money and you got some little hottie that's 30 years younger than you. What the fuck does that matter? You only have it for other people to see it. You can't do nothing with it. If your health is that bad, what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? And she's only with you for the money. What do you think? You're rocking this 30-year younger than you young lady's world? You're not. You're not. The only thing real, the only thing that matters is your fucking health. Because if you don't have your health, then you're not here. Okay? So, not saying that other people don't matter. Other people in your life can't be more important. They can be. But first and foremost, if you don't take care of yourself, you cannot take care of anybody else. If your health is compromised, your ability is compromised, then the potential for you to take care of another person, to help another person, shelter another person, save another person, nurture another person is also compromised. It's also compromised depending to what extent your health falls apart. It's a fucking avalanche. It's a fucking downhill, out of control freight train once it gets too far ahead of you. And all you can do is hang on and you're just going wherever it takes you. Then there's nobody at the wheel anymore. There's no rudder on that ship anymore. You're just letting life happen to you. You're letting shit happen to you. And I'll tell you where it starts. It starts with this mentality with, you wake up in the morning, you swing your feet over on the bed and you feel really stiff. You're starting to feel stiff. You're starting to feel achy because you're lethargic and you're inactive. Starting to feel achy. Now when you stand up in the mornings, it takes a little while stretching and all before you stand up straight, right? I don't have this problem, but I've been there. I've been there as an older guy, and I'll tell you about that in a minute, right? Well, here's where it starts, is this thought process, this fucking mentality, this outlook where you think, I'm going to have to go see my doctor and find out what's going on. Nobody's going to save you. Nobody's going to save you. Your friends aren't going to save you. Your doctor isn't going to save you. Nobody's going to save you but you. And nobody's supposed to save you but you. Chew on that for a minute. I come from a different time. I come from a different atmosphere. I come from a different place. Where I come from, we don't call law enforcement. Don't call cops to solve our problems, come save us. Never have. Never, ever have. And I don't expect the medical community to save me and keep me alive. Now, granted, you may have tear something, break something, whatever. You may need medical attention. You may not be qualified to tend to yourself. It might not be the best idea, so you may need the medical community, and thank God that they are there and available in these modern times like they are. But the rest of it, you better figure out for yourself. If they even tell me, oh, you're going to need surgery for this, I don't just say, oh, woe is me, I need this surgery now. I investigate it for myself. I'm the expert on this body. I've been living in this motherfucker for it'll be 63 years this year. How am I not the authority? What the fuck do I look like? Am I even a sentient being that I can live in this body for going on 63 years? And I'm not the authority on the body. I'm not the expert on this body. I don't know when something feels out of place or wrong, or I don't understand what makes me feel better, or I don't know how to care for myself? Huh? Haven't figured that out yet at this age? So you're going to have to undo a whole lot of bad stitching there. If you're so far down the line now that it finally has occurred to you that you're stuck, that you painted yourself into this fucking corner and there's nowhere to go, well, you're going to have to walk out on some wet paint. And then you may have to repaint that to get out of that corner now. A little more work. If you don't know what that means, I'll tell you. There was a time, I'm going to say it was probably 2009 to 2011, that I stopped lifting. I was tired of the shit. I had competed in, I don't know, 06 or 07. And in 08, I just said, you know what, I'm tired of it. Fuck it. I've been doing this long enough. I have a good career. I have a good, healthy source of income. Go anywhere in the world and be employable. You know, why do I need to continue this at this level? I have other responsibilities and things to deal with. I stopped lifting for 2.5 years, something like that. Just stopped. Did not eat like any kind of thought process a bodybuilder would have. Just was a normal fucking person. My weight plummeted. I didn't care. I was good to go. But guess what happened at the end of that 2.5 years? At the end of that 2.5 years, that would have made me how old? Let's say 2010. How old was I in 2010? I was almost 50. It would have been late 40s. I was in my late 40s. And when I got up in the morning, I was stiff and achy now, where I had never been before. When I got up and sat on the edge of the bed, it took a couple minutes before I could even straighten up. I was very stiff, slow to get moving. I'd walk around the block with my dog, so living in, God forbid, I was in the suburbs at the time, which is too crowded and congested for me, for my spirit. Spiritually, it is. I prefer to be out here in the middle of nowhere. And by the time I'd walk around the block with my dog and come back to the house, my body ached. Knees ached, hips ached, back ached. Maybe not all at the same time, maybe not all that day, but just it was a rotational thing. I always had an ache, I always had stiffness. Posture was even getting worse. Don't have the greatest posture to begin with. Posture was getting worse. Just felt really achy. And I had lost a ton of weight. Shouldn't I feel better? Shouldn't I feel better? Lost a fuck ton of weight. Lightest I've been as an adult, really, pretty much. And I realized if this is what it's going to feel like now, to be a normal, regular, average guy at my age, I don't want any fucking part of it. I'm here to tell you that with all that training that I did, and I was an athlete before I was a bodybuilder. I was an athlete, a high-level athlete, competitive athlete, before I even lifted weights at all. At all. I moved into lifting weights to enhance my athleticism. I moved into lifting weights to enhance my athleticism in my sport, to try to put on a little bit of weight to move up in the weight classes. That's all. And then the bug bit me. But even after all of that, all the way up until that point, most all my life, from 13 years old, 12 years old, all the way up to that point, when I stopped and I took that 2.5 years off, I realized this isn't for me, because if this is what a normal guy my age feels like, I want no part of it. And I'm here to tell you right now, you don't even know how poorly you feel, because it's normal to you now. If you're not active, if you're lethargic, if you're sedentary, you don't even know how shitty you feel. And it's completely unnecessary. But the longer you wait and just accept it as the norm, because it's your norm, as long as it doesn't have to be, but the longer you accept it, the more it gets a hold of you, the more it sinks in. Arthritis? for instance, they don't even know where the fuck that comes from. They technically, literally do not know 100% certain even what causes it. But you understand that literally arthritis means joint inflammation. That's the etymology of the word. Joint inflammation. So everything's about inflammation, but whole point is that shit doesn't just grab a hold of your ass overnight. It comes on very slowly. Like I say, small steps to the moon, small steps to the bottom too. It comes on very slowly, small steps into the grave. Small steps into the grave. So the longer you wait, the more all of this fucking, all these deficits saturate you, the harder it's going to be. And so after that 2.5 years when I decided to come back, oh, everybody around me, my girlfriend, woman friend, at that time, she said, oh, you're not going to get big again. Because it's not normal. I'd been away from it only 2.5 years, but I wasn't eating, wasn't lifting, wasn't training in any way, and let my weight plummet on purpose, and was just going to stop, was tired of it, just be a normal guy, right? Normal Joe. Well, you know what? A normal Joe at that age doesn't feel good. Not compared to how I'm used to feeling and how I feel today, even much older. Even much older. So when I sought to come back, I had to fight and scratch and claw my way back. It was very difficult. Even just doing lat pull downs and simple things like this, it hurt in ways it never hurt me before. Joints hurt. My back hurt. Everything hurt. Hips hurt. All kind of fucking shit hurt. Ankles even. And it was tough. It was hard. And I knew right then and there, well, I'll never stop again, because this is really hard to push back through all of this, because you got to go through all of that to develop the musculature, to bring that muscle back, to be able to support that skeletal structure and take the load off. And it absolutely does. Bad shoulders, for instance, you know, I came up believing that if you've got torn rotator muscles or whatever, these little tendons in your shoulder and shit, if that's fucked up, you're fucked. Doesn't matter how much muscle you got externally. Well, guess what? That's not true. That's not true. I found it out in practice that it's not true. And I have found it out from several specialists. It's absolutely not true that all that muscle, that overly developed musculature externally, will make up for a whole bunch of fucked up shit. I'm living proof of it right now. Right now. So I fought my way back and I put that muscle back on. Now, do I need to be this big? Probably not. It's probably not even the healthiest thing, but we all got to enjoy our lives. It's all about quality of life. You understand? It's all about quality of life. And for me, I'm addicted to my quality of life. I would rather go out and have less time here on this planet, but have a higher level of quality of life, have a more enhanced quality of life up to the very end, than to let myself deteriorate and fall apart and feel like shit and become incapable. I would rather not live longer if I'm going to live busted up and incapable and in pain and unable just to fucking enjoy myself and do the things I like to do and to be active, because I've been active all my fucking life. So in short, what I'm telling you, old man, is you can choose to let life just yank you around by the collar and make you its bitch. And you can tell yourself, oh, that's not me. I'm a tough motherfucker. I'm a bet. Maybe you were. Maybe you were. Sadly, have never even really been tested. They've never really been tested. I've met many men like that have this distorted view of themselves and their capabilities and where they fall in the pecking order amongst men. I'm telling you right now. Do you really have no idea? I suspect you have some idea. You know, so instead of worrying about imagining yourself as a fucking a Roman soldier or a fucking barbarian or a pirate or a frontiersman or a fucking cowboy or some special ops guy in these first person shooter games, instead of all the LARPing and all the kicking back and watching fucking action movies and, you know, all these fucking superheroes. It's nothing but CGI and fantasy or sword and sorcerer bullshit. If you already got all the boxes checked for you, then go ahead. If that's not my thing, but if you like all that in the video games and all this movies, and if life is not a fucking spectator sport. Life is not a spectator sport. So again, nobody's going to save you but you. Nobody's going to save you but you. And you are capable. You are capable. You can do it. This is why I'm so fucking tired and impatient with people, with men. You're a fucking man. Reach down there and give those fucking nuts a squeeze and see if they're still there. Just affirm that you got a set of balls. You're a man. Fix your fucking self. Fix yourself. Anything you get up and do tomorrow, if you do nothing now, anything you get up and do tomorrow is 100% more than you're currently doing. And you know what? Concentrate on functional fitness. Listen, if you have a penchant for lifting heavy weight, you have a penchant for building big muscle, and all, you go ahead. I do. Indulge yourself. But don't overlook. Don't overlook, and know the limitations in that. How much you can deadlift only matters on the platform. How much you can bench press only matters on the platform. How much you can squat only matters on the platform, because there's a law of diminishing returns. Once you get past a certain age, you know. Functional fitness. I can't save you. I'm not going to save you. And certainly none of these fucking cucks making all these fucking other videos are going to save you either. They're just trying to make a dime. They're just trying to avoid actual work. They literally are. And you're helping them. But you won't take care of yourself. You're putting food on their table, but you won't take care of you. So, get your shit together. Get your fucking shit together. Small steps to the moon.